Koo Jong-tae works as a realtor, and his hobby is watching people. He actively promotes his services on social media and has a brilliant reputation. No one suspects the dark side of his personality. Koo Jong-tae finds pleasure in observing people. He sneaks into other people's homes to learn more about the lives of those who for one reason or another, have caught his attention. Koo Jong-tae considers it a harmless activity because he's merely watching. Sometimes he might even fix something small, and as payment take the most useless item in the house. Koo Jong-tae has already accumulated a huge collection of such items. And he's genuinely proud of it. Usually Koo Jong-tae doesn't focus on just one person, he watches several at once. He has his own specific selection criteria. But Han So-ra, an Instagram star, became an exception. Koo Jong-tae first saw her 142 days ago and had no idea who she was at the time. Koo Jong-tae was intrigued when Han So-ra posted a vegan salad on Instagram, even though she was eating a sausage. His curiosity was piqued, and he decided to follow the girl. Soon Koo Jong-tae found Han So-ra's social media and learned that she loved luxury bags, expensive restaurants and other trendy activities. But then Han So-ra decided to change her image and started volunteering to get even more views and likes. In short, Han So-ra is clearly someone who loves to show off. Koo Jong-tae feels that this isn't enough for him. He wants to know what Han So-ra is really like. What people see on social media is just a facade. In his attempts to get into Han So-ra's apartment, Koo Jong-tae tries to guess the code to her door lock, but it's all in vain. There are too many combinations. However, Koo Jong-tae is not about to give up. He is determined to enter Han So-ra's apartment at any cost. Luck comes to him on its own. One day Han So-ra comes into his office, saying she wants to rent out her apartment and needs a realtor's services. This gives Koo Jong-tae the opportunity to gain access to her home. He can't hide his triumphant smile, and that same evening he enters Han So-ra's apartment without any trouble. He inspects every room and touches Han So-ra's belongings to learn as much as he can about her life. Today Koo Jong-tae enters Han So-ra's home for the third time and finds her body. He can't believe his eyes, feeling overwhelming nausea. Then Koo Jong-tae panics and runs away, without calling the police. A married couple arrives in response to the listing for Han So-ra's apartment. Koo Jong-tae lets them in, expecting to hear a scream of horror, but the body is gone, as are all the traces. Koo Jong-tae doesn't understand what's happening. Can he trust his own eyes? Detective Oh Young-yo is angry and frustrated that her efforts are being ignored by her superiors, who dump all the paperwork on her while all the credit goes to Detective Jang. Oh Young-yo is looking for any opportunity to prove herself. 4 days pass, the body is never found, and there's no official report. But this morning Koo Jong-tae finds an envelope at his office door containing photos of him at the crime scene. It seems someone is blackmailing him. Suddenly his phone rings, it's a call from an unknown number. Moreover, someone has broken into the funeral home and desecrated the ashes of Koo Jong-tae's mother. He's convinced it's the same person who sent the photos. That same day Koo Jong-tae is nearly hit by a driverless car on the street. Security cameras caught nothing, and there are no witnesses, but the police promise to do their best. A popular streamer named Halagi, claiming to be Han So-ra's friend, contacts the police and says Han So-ra hasn't posted a photo on Instagram in 4 days, which means something terrible must have happened to her. Han So-ra used to take selfies every single day. At first the detectives assume the girl just wants attention, but then they conclude that she truly has gone missing. The first person they interrogate is Koo Jong-tae, since shortly before her disappearance, Han So-ra had become his client. Koo Jong-tae says he saw and heard nothing suspicious. Detective Oh Young-yo demands that he hand over the keys to the missing girl's apartment. Koo Jong-tae complies without hesitation and watches as the police enter Han So-ra's home and inspect all the rooms. All of Han So-ra's belongings are still there, including her suitcase, so it's unlikely she went on a trip without telling anyone. When Detective Oh Young-yo discovers traces of blood, they call for backup. Koo Jong-tae realizes that everyone could pin it on him now, because he's a convenient suspect. Maybe the one who did it is someone who despised Han So-ra. Some followers accused her of using money raised for charity for personal needs. The most obvious suspect, in Koo Jong-tae's opinion, is the streamer Halagi, who openly criticized Han So-ra, even though she clearly copied her style. Koo Jong-tae manages to track down the streamer's address. Meanwhile, a large-scale search for Han So-ra unfolds across the city, involving both police officers and volunteers. Koo Jong-tae decides to break into Halagi's apartment, hoping to find some kind of evidence linking her to the crime. There, Koo Jong-tae actually finds something interesting: red envelopes, identical to the one he received the day after the crime, and printouts of aggressive comments directed at Han So-ra. At the same time Halagi is waiting for a guy who stood her up. On social media, Koo Jong-tae finds some psycho named Lee, who was clearly obsessed with Han So-ra. Suddenly Halegi returns, but by that time Koo Jong-tae has already left her house. Lee is likely the one who took Han So-ra's life, but then why were the red envelopes in Halegi's place? Could they be working together? When Koo Jong-tae returns to his apartment, he immediately senses someone else's presence. The power is out for some reason. Someone slips another envelope under Koo Jong-tae's door. As he reaches for it, someone attacks him from behind, and a fight breaks out. Seeing Lee's face, Koo Jong-tae runs out of the apartment. A police car arrives just in time. Koo Jong-tae shares his theory with the detective, that Lee and Halegi conspired and took Han So-ra's life. But then why did Lee attack Koo Jong-tae? In any case, Halegi had previously lied to the police when she claimed to be friends with Han So-ra. Maybe she was just trying to mislead the investigators. Together with the detective, Koo Jong-tae returns to his apartment, where they find Lee lifeless. While the detective calls for backup, Koo Jong-tae notices a red envelope and tries to sneak it away, but the detective stops him. The envelope contains photos of Koo Jong-tae and Lee together, creating the impression that they were friends. Koo Jong-tae denies ever interacting with him. Among other things, the envelope includes pictures proving that Koo Jong-tae had repeatedly broken into Han So-ra's apartment illegally. Koo Jong-tae is arrested, but he resists and shoves the detective against the wall. She loses consciousness, and Koo Jong-tae escapes, calling an ambulance for Oh Young-yo on the way. Now Koo Jong-tae is on the run. A forensics team is working in his apartment. It's known that Lee used to own a photo studio and had received several complaints for online stalking, including from Halegi. On her blog, Halegi has already reported that the realtor Koo Jong-tae breaks into his clients' homes and spies on them. Meanwhile, he steals a stranger's car, cursing himself for fleeing from arrest and for not reporting Han So-ra's body to the police right away. Koo Jong-tae has Lee's ID card, but doesn't know his exact address. So he shows it to Lee's neighbor, lying that he wants to return the ID to its owner. The elderly woman points him to the apartment Lee lived in. This is how Koo Jong-tae gets in and finds a note with an address. It gives him some ideas. Koo Jong-tae goes to the funeral home under the pretense of visiting his mother's ashes. When the guard gets distracted, Koo Jong-tae breaks the display case and steals the urn, then runs away. The urn contains a knife and an envelope with a note. The person who took Han So-ra's life and is now blackmailing Koo Jong-tae knows about his voyeuristic tendencies. And now this person is threatening to tell the police about his collection. Koo Jong-tae has unwillingly become a pawn in someone's twisted game. He throws the knife, the instrument of crime, into the river. Han So-ra's sister comes to the police station. Koo Jong-tae bursts into Halegi's apartment and furiously accuses her of conspiring with Lee. Halegi denies any involvement but admits that she was the one who introduced Han So-ra to Lee, hoping to get rid of the obsessive admirer that way. And he really did switch his attention to Han So-ra. In reality, the girls weren't enemies, they came up with this scheme of feuding online together to gain more followers. Han So-young tells the detective that Han So-ra is mentally ill and has driven their family into huge debt. They've been hiding from bailiffs for 4 years now. Koo Jong-tae demands that Halegi explain where she got the red envelopes. She says they're from Han So-ra, she used them to send her money, 20% of the profits. Halegi suspects that Koo Jong-tae has broken into her apartment, otherwise how would he know where the envelopes are hidden? Han So-ra was always lonely and an outcast in her family. One day her family got tired of putting up with her antics and kicked her out of the house. Abandoned by her parents, she was willing to do anything to make money. At some point she began to feel like she had hit rock bottom. But when Han So-ra, on the verge of despair, started posting photos of herself doing good deeds, it unexpectedly gained popularity. That's how she created a new version of herself. And people liked this image much more than the girl obsessed with luxury brands. Han So-ra had always dreamed of success, and volunteering brought her fame. To gain even more sympathy from her followers, she made a deal with Halegi to portray herself as a victim of online hate. She would often intentionally injure stray animals to make the videos look more dramatic. Then she would get rid of the poor creatures like useless trash. Han So-ra couldn't help but notice that Koo Jong-tae was watching her. He had been around all this time. Han So-ra panicked, afraid that Koo Jong-tae had seen something he shouldn't have, something that could ruin her online reputation. There was only one way out: Koo Jong-tae had to cease to exist. So Han So-ra began following him in return. After learning the code to his door lock, she broke into his apartment and found out more about his obsession with spying on people. Of course Han So-ra couldn't carry out her plan alone, so she needed someone who would do anything she asked. And Lee, her devoted admirer, was the perfect candidate. Han So-ra prepared carefully to fake her death and outwit Koo Jong-tae. She knew he wouldn't go to the police because by then she had already studied his behavior thoroughly. Han So-ra is the one who blackmailed Koo Jong-tae. She was the one who sent him those photos. Han So-ra is convinced that Koo Jong-tae deserves to have his life completely destroyed. But before finally getting rid of him, she wanted to scare him. Everything had to look like Koo Jong-tae voluntarily passed away, while Han So-ra would be found by the police safe and sound. She would be the perfect victim. But things didn't go according to plan when during a fight Koo Jong-tae saw Lee's face. Despite being obsessively in love with Han So-ra, he intended to turn her into the police, claiming that he had only ever been a pawn in her game. Han So-ra had to get rid of the unwanted witness. She did it without mercy, ready to do anything to get what she wanted. In the present, Koo Jong-tae drives as far away as possible, while a call comes into the police station. The detective manages to find out that a year ago, when Han So-ra was working at a karaoke bar, she was the main suspect in the disappearance of a girl named Jo Hae-ran, who worked there as well. But the body was never found, so all charges against Han So-ra were dropped. The detective begins to wonder who the real victim is. Koo Jong-tae guesses where Han So-ra might be. The girl attacks him and a fierce fight breaks out. Koo Jong-tae doesn't understand why she's doing this to him. Han So-ra says it's because he saw everything. Hearing the voices of police officers, she starts screaming, making it look like Koo Jong-tae had kidnapped her. The police burst in and arrest him. Of course no one believed his story that it was all Han So-ra's evil plan. Koo Jong-tae manages to escape once again. Oh Young-yo is deeply outraged that Detective Jang had been so overconfident. He didn't inform her and failed to immediately handcuff Koo Jong-tae. Oh Young-yo still doesn't believe that Han So-ra is a typical victim. Of course the girl turned the situation to her advantage and gained even more popularity online. Koo Jong-tae decides to write a letter to the detective, confessing that for a long time he abused his professional position and broke into people's homes. It gave him a sense of superiority, but he insists he never harmed anyone. Koo Jong-tae arranges a meeting with the detective, even if it means his arrest. He promises not to run away this time. They meet. Soon after, the detective picks up Han So-ra, who has been discharged from the hospital, and drives her home. Han So-ra notices an envelope addressed to her, but she doesn't intend to show its contents to the detective. When the detective leaves, Han So-ra opens the envelope containing an invitation to come to Lee's apartment and retrieve her final incriminating photo. There, Koo Jong-tae is waiting for her. He already knows that Han So-ra was disposing of stray animals to pocket the donations sent by her followers. But Han So-ra believes it's not the homeless animals who deserve pity, it's her. That was just her way of making money. Suddenly Han So-ra stuns Koo Jong-tae with a taser. He soon regains consciousness, tied up. Han So-ra is planning to stage it as though Koo Jong-tae voluntarily passed away. At some point Han So-ra notices a hidden camera and smashes it, prompting Koo Jong-tae to laugh. He had been watching her long enough to know that she frequently visited the same spot in the forest. Most likely Han So-ra buried Jo Hae-ran, her former colleague there. Han So-ra believes Jo Hae-ran deserves such a fate because she had blackmailed her, threatening to expose that Han So-ra used to work at a bar and dated various men. What Han So-ra doesn't know is that Koo Jong-tae had already led the police to that location, and they found Jo Hae-ran's body. Han So-ra begs Koo Jong-tae to have mercy and not tell the police. But he feels no pity. He sees her as nothing more than a lunatic and a criminal. Another fight breaks out, but the police intervene and arrest both Han So-ra and Koo Jong-tae for breaking and entering, car theft and fleeing custody. Han So-ra screams that it's all Koo Jong-tae's fault. If he hadn't been stalking her, none of this would have happened. A year passes. Han So-ra is serving her sentence in prison, and Koo Jong-tae is released early for good behavior. He expresses his gratitude to the detective for believing in him and saving him. She replies that she was just doing her job. In any case, he's still a criminal, a stalker, and his punishment will never truly end. From now on, people will avoid him. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.